All right, good morning, everybody. John from Pro Craps here on Coffee and Craps. I'm getting a little bit of a late start today. I actually spilled my coffee on the way downstairs this morning, so I unfortunately am a little bit discombobulated here as we get going. But welcome. Day two here of our talks on. Let me get my glasses off. Day two in our. Why is my screen so orange? That's really weird. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Day two of our talk on team play. Team play is kind of a fun subject. One of those things where it's a lot of people were really into like hearing about team play, but I didn't get a lot of viewership on the video yesterday. We'll see how this works out if you guys want to keep me going with this topic or not. But I plan to talk about this during the week, and I think it's kind of a fun thing. And I don't know. To me, it's interesting. Yesterday I rolled out. Just a quick little, because I only had a few minutes, we rolled out a quick little do-we-don't. And it wasn't really a do-we-don't, it was like person one playing the do, person two playing the don't, with two different bankrolls. And we did okay on the don't side, not so great on the do side. And then Waylon put a video out that was 3 ways to play it. And and it's funny, I didn't do it, and it's because I always tell Waylon all the time, I don't like the ladder up and ladder down on some of these things, especially on the pass, don't pass. I prefer ladder up once, parlay, come back to earth, right? That's the way I'd rather do it. And watching his video where he did the different ways of doing it, it definitely shows me that to me the parlay come back is the way I would do this most of the time. That 2 in a row is a thing you'll see getting the multiples, and it gets a little bit too wonky. And you saw yesterday there wasn't enough repeaters to make that ladder work, but I like the parlay. The parlay, you can get in and get out and be done with it. I also think that doing that, I know Waylon, I think has done this at least once, but doing that, to me, feels like, how do I say this right? It's playing those lines opposite of each other really feels like the thing I would do if, let's say we had 4 people at a table and one person was doing like an iron cross, maybe. One person was doing like the ultimate inside, one person's playing feed the 6 and the 8, one person's doing something else, a come bet system. But all 4 of them could be doing 2 different versions of the line betting, right? So line betting is separate from what you're doing up top. And you could have a ladder parlay, a straight ladder, the more conservative version, and then the offensive line version with 4 different people playing it 4 different ways, and really see the lines pay off and keep the team stable while the strategies are actually in process of working. So that's the kind of stuff I want to get into probably next week, is like really playing 4 players in that sort of way, and see like when 4 players playing their lines or their box numbers or whatever they're doing and playing their lines as separate ways, 4 different ways, 2 different lines. I think that's going to be pretty interesting. So yes, I see that Vince did one too yesterday. And I think it's an interesting way to approach this. 2 people playing the lines. And again, you could have 2 people on the don't and 1 person on the don't doing a positive, like a heavy duty progression like I like to do. The other person doing a negative parlay. And I think both of them may win, but at different times. It's like one person's really hitting that cluster. One person's hitting the way down. So I think it's interesting. And I think I got to do some more like 2 or 3 people at a time tests with the line with chips. So I think we're going to do that for sure. You could play, Brian, 2 at a time, like 2-handed blackjack. You could totally do that. The problem with that is managing it. I think PJ Strong has said this at one point. He said, he was one of the guys telling me, the team play thing is kind of a joke because it's just a giant bankroll. And it is a giant bankroll. What it does, I think, is when you're playing with a team on a shared bankroll, and again, we have more to talk about with this, but it spreads out the thinking. It spreads the brains out. Like one person can do the don't pass ladder and the 6 and the 8. One person's doing the don't pass ladder and the outside strategy. Sure, I could do both, in the 6 and 8 and the outsides, and had to think about all of it myself. This way you got 2 people thinking about different things and maybe betting at different levels. And I wonder if that's a reason why team play can work better, only because you're spreading out the brain power and the focus. And if you're doing it, I don't know. That's why I think this is an interesting thing. So, Greg, I think this is interesting too. Laying different numbers. I've been working on a strategy, by the way, which is ridiculous. I'll never show it to you. I was thinking about, let me try and do a crazy ladder on the back wall, like a back wall ladder, where I basically lay the back wall, and every time a number gets knocked down, like lay them off for 30, number gets knocked down, come at it for 90. If it gets knocked down again, come at it for 270. If it gets knocked down again, come at it for 960, and just kind of keep tripling the ones that get hit. You can win on that, and maybe a team could do that, but that would be a kind of a disaster as far as a bankroll disaster. Anyway, Skills putting this out, and I didn't put this on my, and let me go to the announcement screen because we haven't actually seen the announcements. Let's go to here. I didn't put out on the announcements where Big AZ was, and all I know is that he's there in Vegas. I don't know any details about it, so I didn't put anything in here other than that Big AZ is there in Vegas. That's what I know. No new announcements today. Just please get on the Discord. We had some talk yesterday. We got people on Discord. We were actually talking yesterday about some ideas, and I have some thoughts on that today. Actually, it's going to lead us down the road here of working teams on the financial side of things. So, yeah. And again, I'm reading chats here as we go because there's a lot of run up here in the morning. So James is saying, yeah, the casinos will get all team players. And PJ said the same thing yesterday. He said he says, John, you get an A for effort and an F for execution, right? On the idea of team play. His thing is you're going to lose faster with a bigger bankroll. It's like I said, I don't know that I'm trying to do the MIT thing here, right? This is not taking the MIT model to craps. This is saying if we're going to pool our money and we can play different ways, can you mitigate the big losses by 4 people playing it slightly differently and seeing different people and different win patterns? That's what I'm getting at. And that's why I want to get to the table and actually roll some stuff out and see how this works. Anyway, any other announcements or things you want to know before I start talking about the important stuff? Anything else that you all have on your minds before I jump in there? I'll give you a minute to kind of chat me in there, but if not, I'm going to jump in and talk about financial, talk about money. Jay-Z streamed last night from his room being so that's interesting. All right, let's go. Let's jump in and talk about team play again. So we're going to jump into team play and we're going to finish our conversation or continue the conversation down this road here. And we're going to talk today. We went one screen too many again. I did it same thing yesterday too. We're going to talk about financial plannings and agreements today. Okay. Yesterday we talked about the importance of team agreements. So you can't get started in team play without having a good agreement. And I think you might even want some legal advice there. If you're going to do this for real, right? Oh, PJ's here. How you doing, buddy? Oh yeah. I see what you're saying. And you're right about that. But what I'm saying is, PJ, and I guess today's going to be kind of I'll repeat some of yesterday's work, which is this. If you're going to do it, I want you to do it safely and with eyes wide open. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, because I know that people want to talk about this. I think there's an eyes wide open piece to this. And that's what we're talking about here. Again, from a business operation standpoint, I think it starts out with good agreements. I think if you're going to do this with a team, you've got to have an agreement in place, how you're going to work it. And the agreements, as we talked about before, cover everything from communication plans to getting fired and changing the team dynamic and when do payments come out. All those things have to be kind of sorted out in the beginning. Because again, if you're going to do a team thing for real, like you're really going to share money, you got to protect yourselves. You got to protect yourselves in this. I think that's an important piece of it. Is I don't want to see you just go, hey, let's go to the restaurant and drop our money on the table and we'll just divvy it up and we'll go play. Because that's going to be a disaster, right? If you're going to do this, you got to do it, I think, with the right mindset. And it's got to be a business mindset. You got to be cold, like your friends and you're doing your thing, but it's got to be cold. And I think that's an important piece to this, right? And that's the purpose of talking about team play the way that I want to talk about it. So today, we're going to hit financial planning and financial agreements. And as I do this, I want you to picture not just a team. What I'm about to say to you about the money management piece of it, yes, I'm doing it in the context of a team. A lot of what I'm going to say, I think, makes some sense for you as a person individually as well. So I hope that comes through. And tomorrow we'll talk about roles that we play and the game plan and your SOPs and that kind of thing. But for now, let's jump in and take a look at some ways to talk through. Well, actually, let's review. Team agreements, remember, we talked about the comp plan, conflict resolution, practice planning and expectations, research, and your time investments. But really today I want to talk about managing money. managing money, I think, is an important thing. And as a team, you're going to have to deal with your finances. And I wrote some notes over here, which is, first of all, talking about your initial investments. And this was the subject of yesterday's Discord talk. Your initial investment, I think, has some play in how much you're going to win or how much you're going to take out of the thing. So in other words, I have a little chart here to show you in a minute, but if I'm buying in for 1,000 and Dr. S buys in for 500, clearly I'm 2 to 1 on the profits, right? That's what you'd think. That may not be the way you structure your finances, but you should call that out ahead of time. Again, as a financial agreement for your team, I think you got to call that kind of stuff out early and get that written out and understood. You want to talk about handling expenses. Is everybody on their own for expenses, or do expenses come out of the team 401g or the team master bankroll? And here's the thing, it's interesting. Ken and I talk about this a couple of times on the phone with our personal 401g accounts, right? My 401g account, the way I operate my personal money, my 401g is everything. Like that's, if I'm going to Vegas and I got 10K in my 401g account, 1,000 of that is my trip. It's the Uber to the airport, it's the plane, it's the hotel, it's my getting around town, it's my food, and then I gamble from it too. Ken looks at the 401g as only gambling money. I look at that as a business account. Now you could have two accounts, a 401g for gambling and a 401g for travel, and have both of them going at the same time. To me, it comes out of the same kitty. If you're a team, where's the expenses coming from? Like who's paying for it? Is each player paying for themselves, or is the team master bankroll paying for expenses? That's got to be called out ahead of time. And that also potentially impacts the split of money, because I may be coming from Seattle to AC, right? Where Jeff's coming from Maryland to AC and has no expenses, but I got $1,000 bill coming out of here, right? Does the team pay for my 1K? Is that part of my earnings, or is that just a team expense? Got to be called out ahead of time. And I think the way you manage your personal gambling accounts, I think also how you handle expenses is an important piece of that, especially if you're going to get into using an accountant, which you probably should. You need to talk about session bankrolls. If the team has 20K in the bank, are you bringing 20K to the house, or are you bringing 10K to the house? How much are you gambling with at each step? That's an important piece to call out too. It's part of the gameplay piece that we're going to talk about tomorrow, but at the same time, stripping that down and having everybody on board with what we're going to put at risk from our bankroll is an important thing. And how you grow the bankroll back, I think, is important. Another piece of it, which is when you set up your team structure, let's say that we're going as a foursome to the casino, how much of what we win goes back into the bankroll? Like besides the core, we take out $1,000 and we win 500. Are we putting all 500 back? Are we putting 250 back? Are we putting 100 back? What are we doing? What's going back into the master bankroll? And then what's left over gets split. Those percentages have got to be worked out ahead of time and agreed upon. Can't be any ambiguity there. None. Okay. When I go to the casino and I'm doing my personal bankroll build, which I'm doing, I'm bankroll building here a couple times a week to try and get myself extra money to go to DiceCon with. Right now, all of it goes in to the 401g. But a lot of times I'll put half in the 401g and grow it back up, and I'll keep half out. And I'm buying equipment. I'm buying things like, you can see it here, like my Stream Deck. I'm buying stuff for the show, for the channel, with some of my winnings, but I'm earmarking some for growth and some for keeps. The team has to do the same thing. What are you going to put back in the master bankroll? What are you divvying up? That's got to be called out. And I think we look here at revenue sharing, and how do you share the revenue? Are you evenly splitting all the profits, or is it based on percentage of ownership? Like in other words, again, if James is in for 1,000, I'm in for 500, and we win $1,000, does he get 750 and I get 250? Does he get 500 and I get 250? How do we work in that, right? We got to think through how are we sharing the spoils of war. Like that's an important thing. So I definitely think that's something to consider. I'm going to put this comment up on screen before I switch, because Fives says this. I think guys trip themselves up adding meals and expenses into their bankroll. If you buy lunch at work, you eat it out of your pay. You're right. The reason why I say this, maybe as a part of bankroll and why I do it, it's a cost of doing business to me. Like I wouldn't have incurred the cost of the flight or the hotel had I not been going there to gamble. Had it not been a business trip, so to speak, right? I wouldn't have incurred that. If you're going to include the cost of travel and the cost of food and the cost of Ubers and everything else as part of your trip, then it's a business and those are write-offs. You got to think of it that way. If I'm going to make myself an LLC, right? If I'm going to make our team an LLC, those expenses become write-offs for the business, right? And then the amount of money that your W-2Gs that you file at the end of the year become different because there's expenses involved. And that's why I think including the expenses part of it is a decision you make as a team. Are you just, everybody's an individual and the team just pays the winnings? Or is it a business? And are you guys actually taking a paycheck from this thing? And even though your revenue share is what you're basing your pay on, it's still a paycheck out of the company. Think of it that way. Think of this whole thing as a separate thing, I think. And I think it'll help protect your personal money, right? If you think of it that way, where everything is just kind of in a silo or like in a little bubble, so to speak. And you keep all this over here, doesn't affect your home living. And I think that's where I want to give you the most advice in terms of protections and that kind of thing. Does that make sense? I hope that does. PJ is saying the only team that worked were the MIT teams and the roulette teams. Sure, they had an advantage to some degree. I'm not saying we have an advantage here, right? What I'm saying is a couple of things. You can, and I will prove this to you, PJ, you can win more money with more people playing different strategies. I know that you can. I know that you can. So, like I said, I don't know that it's an advantage, but I know that we can pool money and we can win by playing different ways. And I think it's an important thing to protect your money as you're doing it. That's kind of what I'm after, is finding ways to be protection. Yeah, right. So what you do, Kevin, in this case, Kevin is saying about one person's lobster, one person's on spam. You're right. That has to be controlled. Maybe not the food, maybe it's the flights. Maybe everybody gets a per diem. Maybe like while you're in Vegas or the town, the team team expenses give every player 20 or whatever, 30 or 40 bucks a day, whatever the per diem is to eat with, and you can eat that how you want. But that's kind of your living expenses during the day when you're there. There's ways to put this out that is fair. And that's why I think the communications plan we talked about yesterday, super important, because you got to talk about these things and have your plans figured out ahead of time. You got to know in advance, what are you going to do with the money, right? Because you're right, because Kevin's bringing up a great point here. What you do with the money is critically important, and how that works out, how it gets spent, and what the allowances are. I think there's a thing, and I think that part's got to be even, Steven, right? My opinion. Anyway, there's what else do we want to talk about here? Okay, let's go. And so blacklight, we'll talk about that tomorrow. We're talking about charting and what the roles are. That's going to be a discussion for tomorrow. So with that said, let's go to the next slide here and let's talk about ways that we can split the revenue. Because here's an interesting thing, right? Waylon and his dad go to the casino, and of course their father and son, they're splitting money differently, right? Me and Brian go to the casino, and Brian and I decide to pool our money. We go, right? Hawaii Crap Shooters and me. We're gonna go. What are we doing? Are we straight splitting, right? If we both put in $1,000, sure, we straight split. If Brian puts in 3 times what I put in, are we doing a straight split? Probably not. Right? If he and I collectively win $3,000, he's getting 2 and I'm getting 1. That's the way it should be. You could, though, just do a straight split and say, you know what? We're just going to all go. We're all putting in time. We're all going to be there for, 8 hours a day, 3 days. We're putting in the same hours, the same effort. The team bankroll is what it is. We all just take 1/4 of the winnings and that's going to be it. You could elect to run it like that. And over time, expect that everybody kind of builds themselves back up into the bankroll. I'm going to show you a spreadsheet where that kind of happens. You could do it where there's no split at all. You can make yourselves employees of the LLC and just every month it's a salary, a straight up, not even splitting the revenue. Maybe it's just a straight up $1,000 a month salary for everybody while you're building the business up. But that's got to be called out. That's got to be part of your, again, team agreement, financial agreement, part of your LLC formation documents, right? What is your roles in the team? And again, are your team's money table winning based, or is it just like a core base off of the main? So Let me switch over here and actually look at a spreadsheet that I've made for you. I think I can get this on screen. Maybe screen share. Hold on a second. Let me get switched over. I may have to minimize this one. Give me a second here to get the screen share up. Oh, I know what the problem is. Screen share. Come on. Why can't we see my... There we go. Okay, sorry about that. I had to get the other thing out of the way. Here's a spreadsheet that I put together yesterday, and I want to show this to you. This is one possible way to do this. All right, I'm going to zoom in a little bit further. I think I can get you to see it all. There we go. Okay, imagine this team. All right, imagine the team where you've got Kirk, Spock, Picard, and Michael Burnham are your players, and they all bought in for $1,000, right? And you set up your team like this. You're going to have an even split of 25% of the profits, right? An even split of 25%, which means if the team wins $1,000, $250 of that is going to be split up evenly amongst the 4 players. You're going to reinvest into the team's bankroll 25%, and you're going to take the 50% that's left over and share that based on their buy-in amount. In other words, let's say that Kirk bought in for $5,000 into the team, and Spock was a $15,000 person, and Picard was $10,000, and Burnham was $2,500, and there's your percentages, right? So that 50% rev share gets paid out according to this. So each person earns that much of 50%, but each person gets 1/4 of the even split piece. So you kind of split this out in many ways. This is one way to do it, obviously. This could be, you can split up 20%, you can reinvest 35%, of course, and then put 40% as the revenue share piece. And everybody can earn different monies based on the overall profit. And I've got a sessions tab here where we're logging the profits. So for a trip that we made last week, the team made $2,350 with $1,000 in expenses, and they're splitting $1,350 across those percentages. And here you can see what each player takes home from that. They each get 25% of the split, but their percentage of the share. And there's one way to sort of put this back. And over time, people like Burnham and Picard can come back and reinvest their money. You can put another $500 into the kitty, and now this person is a 9% share versus a 7% share. So over time, every player can reinvest their profits back in to where they are all even share people. But that allows you to decide to pay them on an even basis of the share. So you have options here where you're either going to pay based on this, you're going to pay evenly based on this over here, or let somebody buy back up into it. So this spreadsheet, I'll make this available if you want to monkey with it a little bit. This is just a trial spreadsheet. It's not one I actually use, but I put it together yesterday to give you an example of how you could set up the finances for a team. And I think it's interesting to see ways in which you can split it up. And again, by changing percentages, what are we going to split evenly? How much is going back in the pool? You might put 75% back in the pool and say, we're just going to split 10% and we're going to rev share 15%. And everybody's making closer to even money that way. But the team's bankroll starts to grow a little bit quicker when you do it that way. So I think that's definitely an interesting way to look at it. And again, you decide how much your team is going to reinvest in itself. And I think that's kind of a critical piece to it. So let's go back over here again and change the screen. I can't get it back. Keynote window, the play window. There we go. All right. So that is my thoughts on managing money. I think there's lots to it in terms of how you split revenue is a big piece of this. And I think really, if you're going to do this right, one thing you're going to have to do is, I think, let's go back to, I think I'm one screen off here. There we go. I recommend getting help to do this. I don't recommend 3 guys doing this on their own on a bar napkin. I recommend forming an LLC. I recommend having an accountant, and I recommend knowing that you have to fill out W-2G forms or 1099 forms. Either way, you're going to have to deal with money. If you're going to do this for reals, right? If you're going to put in a bunch of cash with multiple people, you got to take care of yourself. You got to make everything separate. And I think I said this earlier, even as an individual person, if you're betting big money, if your bankroll's in the thousands multiple times a year, and you're bringing in big winnings, and you don't want your home life, your home finances to be affected, form yourself an LLC, work separate from there. You will pay taxes separately. You will have different obligations, but keep it separate. And that way it's a separate entity. And I think by entitizing it, you're going to put yourself in a good position. And I think that's an important. You're right, Duracell. I'm going to put that out there. Every state's a little bit different. But as an LLC member, you can technically hire yourself. And I think that, I'm not sure if is it a 1099? I forget the form it is, but the corporation itself will pay you as a member. I think that's the way to do this and keep your business life and your house life safe, I believe. Yeah, you're right. The S Corp, you pay yourself as an employee, and the LLC, you're a member in your distribution. So there's the tax, and this is why I wrote this on here, by the way. Get help, right? There's lots of ways to do it. Get help. Get some advice from somebody. But don't just, God, please, don't just go to a restaurant and drop money on a table and sign yourselves in blood on your thumbs and say, here's how we're going to do it. That's not the way to get this done, right? Be organized about it. That's what I want to see if you're going to go ahead and do this. And that's, if I was doing this, that's exactly how I would do it. And I keep all my personal gambling money separate from my house. We have a whole separate system for managing this money because of that. I've seen too much in my life go south, and that's why we do it this way. And I think from a team standpoint, I think that it makes sense to pursue that as a team, smart financial decisions. And I think going back to my initial point here, which was this one, which is having this thing run as a business where you're operating as a company, team agreements, communication plans, mitigation plans, conflict resolution plans, financial planning and agreements. Tomorrow we'll talk about defined roles and having a playing game plan. I think that's important. So there it is. There is your discussion about playing this as a team. So let's see. Let's go back to I want to go to the table here and play a little bit. Let's go run some strategies. I got to turn my camera on and some things, and we'll talk here in a little bit when I get back about some of the comments that are coming. So let's go ahead and go to the table. It'll be black for a minute here while I get set up, and then we'll go ahead and play. Give me a second to get this camera turned on. I think it's going to be right. I made some changes yesterday to my setup in the room here, so hopefully this is not upside down when it comes on. Okay, good. It's right. All right, here we go. Let's go to the lights and let's play a little bit. I don't know what I want to play yet. I was thinking about this yesterday. Yesterday I played a really simple little do-we-don't kind of a system. Today what I think I'm going to do is let's reset our stacks here. And I think what I'm going to do is for one player, I'm going to we'll do 1,000 in greens. I think I have enough to do. Maybe we'll do 500. We'll do 500. I'm not going to play that long. We'll do 500 in greens for this guy. This will probably end up needing some reds. As a matter of fact, I know that it will. I'll just get now $50 in red. So we have it. And that person will just do a little 3-point molly, a simple little molly system. And again, because come betting has its own rhythm to it, whereas other systems have different rhythms to it. This player here, we'll do 5 shooters worth of 6, 7, 8 of a ratioed 6, 7, 8. And what that looks like is $160 per shooter. I'll get these set up for you here. $160 per shooter. And we're basically gonna do $100 on the don't and a $60 or $30 6 and 8. So we're gonna be ratioed up on the don't. And really that's gonna be, the idea there is that you're not hedging the whole thing, which I think a lot of people do. Like to hedge out. Now let's play 100 on the don't means I can play 100 up in the line. I'm gonna go and ratio that by about 50% and say, whatever I have here, I'll play half up here. Maybe we get some 6s and 8s and grind a little bit. I may reduce these down. We'll see how that looks as we're playing it out. I'm just gonna go ahead and run this thing through. We'll do a don't for this player up here. We'll do a do for this player down here. And again, a 3-point molly for this player down here. And I'm gonna do it with my progressive odds. I will not do full odds. Don't have the money to do that in this bankroll. So we have aces on the come out. We get a win here. We have a loss here. We're gonna bring that down. I'm not gonna ladder anything. We're just gonna play it straight up, same bet all over the place. This person here, you know me, right? I wanna be attacking multiple hits here, but we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna play them both straight. Very simple strategies and run it out. And there we are, we give it right back, right? This guy loses 100, goes back at it. This guy wins 100 or wins 25 and we're back here and we're back in our rack. It's a 6-5 yo. So we're gonna lose another 100 here. This guy's gonna win his 100 or win his quarter and back to the rack he goes. By the way, I'm over here. And there we go. Finally, a point, 6 or a 5-4-9 up on the 9. So again, down here, the way that I'm going to do this is we're going to do 2x odds back here on the 5 and 9. So I'll just put $50 back there, and we'll come through with a quarter, and right back to the 9, which is interesting. So this is going to move into the 9. The puck will be off. The pass line player is going to get paid pretty good, right? 1 here and 3 in the back. Nice win for that person. This guy's losing his 100 and never gets out of the gate. I forgot to put a 6 and 8 up. He didn't even get out of the gate. But we're still working on that shooter. I'm not going to bring out my next shooter's worth of money until we're done here 7ing out. So he's got the 6 and the 8. The other guy's got the 9 and a pass line bet. Looking for a come out 7 here. And here, by the way, working. We're gonna work hard all the time. I'm more in the line of working every single roll and not wasting a chance at a hit. So we're on the 10 here. And again, I'll just do single odds back there on the 10. This other player is waiting for some other result. There's a 5, a 4-1-5. There's a 6-5 yo. Oh shoot. I'm not paying attention. Would have been in the come and went to the 5. That would have been there too. I'm completely screwing this up. We should be here. Double odds here and double odds here now. So the molly person would have been in there twice. Now we're all set up where we should be. And there's, of course, is the 7, which burns everybody. But that's what I again, talking too much and not paying attention. So there's that. Everybody gets burned. And we're out. Boom. Next shooter up for this player. Molly player's back. Don't player's back. There's a 9, a 6-3-9. On the 6 and the 8, this person's coming. 2x odds. 4-1-5. Let's go to the 5 over here. We'll put our odds up and we'll come again. John has to roll better than that to make us make money. So no collections on the 6 and the 8 for the 6, 7, 8 player. That come bet went away. It pays in here. Pass line loses. So effectively that person is even for the last 2 rolls. That'll come back. Down in their rack, but the last 2 rolls were a break even. And here's the 100 that we lost earlier in that first hit. So what I'm gonna do is bring this back in my rack and start working that. I'm actually gonna break this down because I need to set my rack back up. So I'm gonna bring $100 in, and that's gonna be 50, 60. So there's my three of my 5 shooters, and here's a little bit of what we've lost. Here we go. Coming back out. I put that in the wrong spot. There's that guy. There's that guy. And yeah, we're good. This goes here. Sorry. All right, here we go. Coming out to an 8. Point will be 8. This guy's only going to play the 6 because we have the 8. Even though it's a -8, we're fine. Back here, Love the 8. We're going to go 5x on the 8 and come once. Come better needs some help. We cannot have a PSO. Oh, perfect. That's going to be a hard 8. So this guy does get whacked for $100, which kind of sucks. This come bet moves into the 8. The 6 is still there. Now the pass line player is going to get a nice paycheck over here, right? He's going to get 1 there, and he's going to get 100.5 by the back, which is fantastic, right? And we're actually going to take those 5 odds from before and drop them right up here on the 8 and put 125 in the rack. And we're ready to play again. This is going to be working. We're going to put our 8 back up and be working the come out. This player will not go back to the don't since he got beat, but we're off now. My odds are working. Everything is on during this. 639. All right, so we're going to come out with a second come bet. We only have 1 set, so we'll do 1 more. Oh, crap, I forgot my odds. Sorry, double odds back here. We roll the 9, that's the winner. This moves into the 9. We're going to get paid 1 and 3 in the back. I'm going to take those 2 and put them right back up here. Those will be working on the come out. Leave our pass line bet and bring $100 back to the house. So the come better is making a little bit of a comeback. Haha. And here we go. Still not coming out with a don't with my 6, 7, 8 guy. Just not going to do it. I'm not personally going to burn the next shooter until the shooters finish their work. Now we have a point of 8. Everybody was working, so this guy's going to get paid his $35 on that front line winner on the 8 here. I'm going to bring that back to the rack as the first profit. I'm going to same bet each of these, and then I'll regress them both down. So I'm going to same bet once, regress down. This 8 back here is going to win. 1.5 in the back and 1 in the front, and it all comes down. And a new come bet's on the way out. So the come better has come storming back. They were down a little bit, but 2 really nice hits have helped them out. Let's see, we're on the 8 as a new point. So we're going to be, again, 5x coming out the chute. New come bet goes to the 9. So we're going to be off and on here for 4, right? What's going to happen is this comes down, this goes up. You get paid 1 and 3. Putting 2 back up there. 4 goes to the rack, 1 stays in the come. So this guy here is crushing it right now. Love it. Not getting my 6s though. I'm not getting anything on the inside at all here today. It's a yo. It's a nice win. Little freebie here for this guy. Oh, dice off the table. Which if you saw my setup is pretty hard to do. That thing rolled sideways. Let's roll again. There's a 617. 617. So we get 1 in there. Everything else comes back. We're off. We're back in. All right, we're going to have to go back at it again here, aren't we? We'll do 1 more shooter. I think 1 more shooter will be enough to get us a look at where we are. There's a don't. There's a do. Puck is off. I didn't do it last time. I'm doing it here. I'm gonna come with the 6 and 8 working on the come out. Probably should have done that last time too, but I'm gonna do that. Get these things hot. There's a 9. 6, 3, 9. There's your point. We're going to do double and come. And there's the 9. Boy, the don't player is getting hammered. The 6, 7, 8 player is just getting his butt handed to him today. Wow, that's unfortunate. That's going to come down. We're going to get paid again 1 and 3 back there. This is going to move to the 9. We're going to take our 2 and move it up. We're going to rack our profits. Puck is going to be off. These 2 are still hot. Now I'm sorry, I'm missing 100 from back here. I could come back in with $100 from another player. I could take these pseudo profits, which is $75, and come to the don't with that and get back into the game, which I will do. I have 2 shooters left. This guy's getting hammered, but I had a little bit of extra spiff from the previous two losses. We're going to go ahead and have that in there. Everything's working. 6 and 8 are hot for this shooter. My odds are hot for the come bet shooter. And there's a 7 on the come out, which is not great, right? Everybody loses everything. That's the risk you take when you get aggressive on those things. You get a lousy quarterback, which kind of sucks. But again, this guy's in a good spot. He's been winning the whole day. So here we go again, coming out one more time, 6, 7, 8. Everything is on. All right, there's an 8 on the come out. So we're gonna get paid as the puck gets set, which I like. There's that. Back to the rack we go with this one. 8 here is gonna earn 5x odds, so 1 1/4 behind. Coming with 1, and let's roll it out. 3, 2, 5. That moves into here. That'll earn double odds. 1 more come bet. How about a roll longer than 2, huh? There's aces. We'll do 1 more come bet. I won't do a third one if I get beat again in there. That's a 1, 2, 3. Comes leaner. We're done. I'm not going to put a third one in. I'm not going to get beat more than twice in there. Let it roll out. There's a hard 4. Oh, this has got to come down, by the way, because we're already on the no 8 there. All right, and there it is. There's the 8. So the don't pass player again. Like yesterday, my pass line player was getting hammered. Today, the don't pass player is getting hammered for some reason. All right, so these will no effect up here. Puck is off down here. We're going to get paid a quarter and 100.5 in the back. All right, this will be it here. We're off. I'm going to come out with my last 100 for the don't pass player. We're just going to call it good if we lose here. Puck is off. Odds are working back here. That's coming back, by the way. Everybody's on. Everything you see is on. Hard 4. New point's going to be a hard 4. This guy's maybe a little bit happy. Single odds in the back for that one. Coming with 1. There's an 8. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I should be on the 8. This will move to the 8, by the way, and that's also going to grab 120 and 125 in odds. That's going to pay 35. 35 there, and let's hope we can get more than one hit and regress those things down and then start building it. We haven't seen that happen yet today. They're great. There's an 8, $35. Love it. Finally, 35 bucks here. This is going to get paid the 1. I may have forgotten to pay that before. I think I did, actually. So let's fix that. This paid on the previous hit. So I'm going to bring this back for this guy. This is coming back for this guy here. And because I screwed up the payment, he would have been in and back for another 125. So he's reset for where he should have been. That's my fault for not catching that early. We have 2 come bets and a pass line bet. We're good with him. Yeah, I think I got that right as a quick fix. There's a hard 4 for the pass line winner. And once again, this guy here is donating money today. So that's going to be that. Now, let's come back and let's see. We'll leave everything running. I'm going to do 1 more $100 don't. The last one, we're just going to go for it. With this guy here, he's basically all in. This will be our last shooter. Whatever happens, happens. Everything, by the way, working hard. There's a 1, 2, 3. So finally, a little bit of love down here for him. A little bit of loss up there. There's that. Again, that's 2 in a row. There's a win and a loss. He's back. We're back in there. There's an 8 on the come out. The point's going to be 8. The come better again is going to get paid goodly on the back. We're going to go ahead and drop odds behind the line for him. Fill the rack. That's going in here. All right, this guy here is getting paid $35 on the way out and bringing that bet down with him. Come better is coming out for a new number during the roll. Here we go. There's a 9. I don't think I've hit the 6 once today. Have I hit 1 6 all day? I don't think I have. There's the 9 with double. So good. Our 5 and 9 are set up with odds. Our pass line is set up with odds. The don't pass player is waiting it out. There's a, you can't see it's a leaner. It's a 5-3-8 as a leaner. Okay, which again, you had to know that was going to come for that guy. There's your payment here for the come better, and the come better today I think carries the water for the team, right? 5-3-8. So we're going to go ahead and take this down to the rack. Yes, it was one of those hundred. Shit, I think one of those hundreds was this guy's. I forget. I think one of these hundreds belonged to him that I just put in the rack. I know one of them was here. I think one of them was here. I'm 90% sure I screwed that up. So if I did, I'll rewatch the video and fix the numbers here, but we're off right now. We're gonna come back out. I'm gonna go back to the 6 and the 8 here one last time. I did earn a black. We're gonna come out with the black and we're gonna go back to the pass line. We're gonna play one more shooter since I earned a black coming through. Everything's working, by the way. Hard 4 for the point. Single odds in the back. Everybody is set where they wanna be. Let's do it. There's ace, oh, there's aces. Nobody cares about the aces right now. There's an 8, a 5-3-8. So again, 35. 35. And again, what I'm trying to do with this 6, 7, 8 strategy is win with these, win $100 to cover that thing. These are basically going against that or trying to hedge that. I can't get more than 1 or 2 wins coming through at all. There's a 1-3 or 1-2-3 rather. Sorry. There's a midnight. And there's a 10. And there's a 9. Okay, good, good, good. So that roll, that was a 9. So our come better is going to get paid again. There we go. Back in the rack he goes. Coming with a new number. There's a yo 11. Sweet. Now, if I'm playing this for real, I'm doing that, but we're not. We're just going to go same bet. We're same betting everything today. There's a 1, 2, 3, so we'll lose it in here. We'll come back through one more time. There's a 5-1. That's our first 6 of the day. 5-1-6. All right, so $35 in here, finally. And I'm actually going to take these down. We're going to go to 12 each. That's gonna be on the 6. We're gonna do 125 on it. And now we're set. Boom. 5, sweet. 1 and 3. We'll leave 1 coming. Bring this back. Five, 2, 7 out. 7 out. All right. So we'll lose it all. This guy's gonna get paid 1 in here. We'll get paid 1 black down there. Everything else comes back home. Let's see how we did. All right, so this player here bought in for 160 for 5 shooters. So that's gonna be 500 and that's $800 total that he bought in for. Clearly lost money today. Let's see how much he lost. So there's 50, 100. That's 100. So this guy's down $500. He's basically got 316. So he lost 500. He lost a little more than half his bankroll with some really unfortunate runs. Oh, by the way, he got paid here. No, he didn't actually got paid here. Look at that. 2, 3, 4, 5. He actually lost $300. That's not bad. $300 out of 800 with that horrible run is not bad. I'm actually okay with that. The other guy started with 500. There's There's 4 and there's 1. That's his 500 that he started with, which means the rest of this he made profit-wise. So as a team, what's going to be said in chat, I'm sure, is, well, you just hedged yourself, right? Sure, right? We diluted this guy's profits. This guy here actually makes pretty good set of chips here. There's 50 more. So the come better today started with 5 and made 1, 2. So here's the $300 that this guy lost, right? If you move that over there, as a team, they made $475. And so here again, here's starting bankroll, here's starting bankroll. This guy here had to get caught up by his partner. As a team, they made 4.25. That very easily could have gone the other way, right? Those come bets could have been followed by 7s, and this guy here could have made 3 or 4 more hits down here and been even himself maybe, right? There was a time where they were both doing okay until that bad run happened. And there's an example of, player 1 hedged player 2 when we won less money than we probably could have. But again, I'm kind of playing both sides there. The one guy's playing the 6, 7, 8 and got no hits. So it's a bummer. That didn't work out, but we did a good job today, right? Today worked out really good in terms of the come better carrying the water for the team. Oftentimes that doesn't happen. Oftentimes the come better is the one who gets hammered on the come out 7s, and the place bettors are carrying the team. So I kind of like to see both those things work out. So there we go. Let's come back and do a little bit of a recap here. So let's go. I think we're there. Yeah, this is good. That's it. That's what I got to say today. I think that was fun. And again, today, like yesterday, both days were dichotomous, right? You had one guy win, one guy get absolutely hammered, right? That happened yesterday. Today, same thing. One guy won, one guy got mostly hammered. I think I made a payout mistake in the middle there, maybe one at the end. I have to go rewatch and see what I did there, but really they worked out pretty okay. And I'm kind of happy with how that worked out. If that don't pass player takes one hit in the middle of that, things even out and both players make good money. So there's that. Let me look at the questions and see if there's anything else I haven't answered yet before we go. So let's see. So going back, way back, Biff asked, didn't casinos regard BJ teams as inherently cheating? They do. But that's a personal thing, right? There's nothing illegal about it, right? You can't, the argument for card counting is this. When the casino is giving you information, right? You're at a blackjack table. The cards are out there, right? You're allowed to look at the cards that are on the table, and you're allowed to do computational math in your brain. There's nothing illegal about thinking, right? So it's not illegal to card count. And if you have an advantage and you want to play if you knew, for example, on craps that you had the next roll was going to either be a 7 or a 6, if you knew that 100%. Or let's say you had 80% certainty. The next roll was going to be a 7 or a 6 for sure, which is what card counting basically is. They know what it's likely to be. Wouldn't you bet differently, right? But if you knew that and you're the only one who knew that, and you dropped $1,000 on the 6 for that one roll, and you're betting $12 6s and 8s all day long, and then you drop $1,000 on the 6 and the 6 rolls, that's going to send off alarm bells. That's the problem with blackjack teams, is that they're greedy sons of guns, and they do that kind of stuff, and that's where they get heat. It's not playing with brain power. So there's that. Let's go look for any PC quotes that I've missed. Skill says team play is complicated. You know what? It is complicated to some degree. I'll put your quote up here. It's complicated to some degree. Once you knock all this crap out, it's not that complicated. Once you get the agreements done, say, here we go, Skill. You're playing the Skill 66. I'm going to play the what do you call it? What does Greg call that strategy? The buttercup strategy. And someone else is playing the come bet like today. We're just going to play our thing, pool our money, divide it at the end. It's about getting it so we don't get bad feelings, right? I want to make sure that you and me and Greg, if we're playing together as a team, that at the end of the day, when we divvy up our money or lick our wounds over a loss, that we're still okay. Because we went in and said, today's strategy is, you're doing this, I'm doing this, Greg's doing that. Whatever happens, happens. Our stop loss is here, our win goals are here, and we're going to be done. As long as it's in writing and we're good about that, that has to be okay. It's all about protection. And I think protecting your assets, and in this case, your assets are your people, your friends, your relationships. I think that's, if anything comes through this whole series, it's that your people are your assets. Your relationships are assets. You want to protect your assets. It's not always about the money, right? PJ is talking about not having an edge in playing the money. It's not always about the money. Money's a big part of it. The enjoyment is a big part of it. Your human assets are a big part of it. I think that multiple people playing can do very, very well. And I think in a day like this where the come better carried the load, it very easily could have been the don't pass player carrying the load. That guy could have crushed it today, and he'd be the one that made all the money. And it's going to happen that way. I think it's interesting. So Fives is saying, let's see, or I see Dr. S saying, I'm the most optimistic person on craps players winning. You're right. You're 100% right. And I think PJ, if he's still here, will tell you the same thing. It's a negative EV game. For sure, it's negative EV. And that's why we preach, right? Greg preaches it. I preach it. Get in and get out. As soon as you show a profit, you should be done. You play a quicker game, and a team keeps you honest too. Think about that. You can definitely come out on top more often than not if you're smart, right? You're going to get a bad run, and that's going to happen. But most of the time, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. So, Five says he'd never do it professionally. Building a business on a negative EV is not a great idea. What I'm saying is this, and hear me clearly here. I'm not saying build a business so that you can take the house down, right? I'm saying if you want to play together, I'm saying do it right. If you're going to play together as a group and you're going to pool your money, protect yourselves. This is all about doing this the right way. It's not about doing this willy-nilly and having a bunch of hard feelings. That's what the whole point of this is it makes sure we're doing it smart. And look at it for what it is, right? If you're going to pool money, then pool money in a smart, protective way. And again, keep the people safe. That's what it's all about. And yeah, sure, money does change everything. I agree. Money changes everything. There's a lot of that goes into it. And like I said, do I want to play as a team? I don't know. Do I play as a team? No, I don't. If I was going to do it, this is what I would do. I would never go into this without agreements ahead of time. I would never do it and put my friends at risk to anything. I wouldn't put anything up to chance in terms of how we're going to split things. If we're going to do it, you got to do that. So there it is. Yeah, there we go. Let's see. I think that covers everything. Five saying card counters have to play small, then load up, right? And that's crazy. They do give themselves away. I think that's the point, right? You got to be a little bit smart, or not smart's the wrong word. You got to fly under the radar to some degree, and just bet your edge when you have it, but don't bet your house on the edge. That's what people tend to do when they think they have a positive advantage. A little bit crazy. All right, there's that. I think let me go back to the main chat and see if there's anything else that I haven't addressed. My God, there's a lot of chats today. Either there's a lot of chats because there is no way you're ever going to do this. Maybe I'm talking you out of playing as a team versus talking you into playing as a team, which is good, right? If you got something out of the last 2 days, maybe your takeaway is I'm never doing this, which is fine. I had a lot of requests to do team play, and it's funny because everybody wanted it. Now you're all saying this is stupid. Well, good. That's I guess that's a good takeaway. That said, Casino Gaming TV, we're going to do a craps league. I've talked about this before. That's going to be team play. We're actually going to do a league with teams of 4 players against teams of 4 players. So we're going to put this stuff to the test in a team, in a tournament, as Jay is saying, a tournament style play. To do team play live. That's the idea here is playing as a team. How would 4 people with brilliant minds approach this thing? As for fun, obviously for fun. So I think team play is fun. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the league goes versus how individuals in a tournament go. So hopefully that works out. So anyway, there's no I in craps. That's funny. Cool. And you know what, Brian, you're right. I think what we should do is probably play some of the same things we've been doing here over a few days and just kind of get, what I really got to do is I got to pull a sideshow gamble and do 4. I want to do 4 at the same time. and really slow it down. I'm going fast here to kind of get a bunch of rolls in. But if we slow it down and do 4 people at the same time and do it at casino speed where it's a roll every minute and just do a full session like that, I think it'd be super interesting to see what would happen. And maybe that's a subject for an evening rollout. We'll see. I think it's a good idea, and it deserves for sure to be done. So that is it all. I like doing this. I don't know if you do, but this is fun for me. Coming in and doing something totally different. Normally we're talking about, regular strategy rollouts. This is actually, I think this is a good head scratcher to me. How do you approach this stuff? And I'm looking at a different screen than you are, but how do you approach this? How do you approach a team? And again, I look at it like it could be for disconnected people, right? I would prefer the team be 4 friends. And with 4 friends, I look at this stuff as protecting that. Making the team part of this cold and having the friends and the relationship stay strong. I think that's really, really cool. So there that is. If I kick in $10, give Dan 10. That's good, Greg. Funny. All right, guys, that's it. I got to get to work. It's 9 o'clock on Tuesday. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Thanks for coming in. More on this for the next few days. If we don't like it, we'll drop the whole thing next week. But I think there's goodness in seeing things play. And I think doing more side-by-sides like this, the more I can do that, even if it's not in the context of team play, 2 strategies side-by-side, battle style, gives you a good sense of how the rhythm changes for each player. So rhythm in rolling is an interesting thing. When you catch a wave, today that comebatter caught that great wave today, and that just worked like a champ. It was a beautiful thing to see. So there you go. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. I will see you all in the morning for sure. Maybe for practice tonight, we'll see. Anyway, that's it. God bless. Have a great one. Oh, no.